Welcome to Drinks with Rachel. It is another evening spent curled up on the couch or hiding in the bathroom or pretending to do something in a room so that your kids don't know you're actually doing this. And so welcome. It is excited to see. It is excited. I am excited. I've been tired. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm tired. It's really exciting to be here. And well done if you have made it. If you still have a child attached to you, welcome to them as well. And today we are talking about failure. I actually don't like calling it failure, but we're going to go for failure for now because sometimes in our kids' heads, it seems like failure. And so we're going to be talking about failure today. And before we begin, I just wanted to know how you are. Did you make it through Christmas? I'm sure you did. Well done for making it through Christmas. Hi, Ruth. It's good to see you. And it's good to see everybody who survived Christmas. If you're still alive, well done. And today, before we sort of begin and checking on you, I just want to tell you a few things. One, we've totally redone that's probably an exaggeration. We have re-sexified. Nope. Probably not either. We've rejigged the website, and so therefore Caitlin, you found us. I rejigged the website so that we can make it slightly more navigable. So if you want to check out the parentingforfaith.org website, there's over 250 videos and articles on there for parents and carers. We have a whole side for churches. And if you want to go, there's a little magnifying glass in the corner where you can type in any topic. But also, it's really easy to sort of go and click and see around. So you may just want to go and spend a couple of hours just getting sucked down into the rabbit hole that is the web page. Also, another thing for parents, particularly of under fives, if you're like me, I think I read no books during my under fives life. And so we've taken this book, the huge book, the Parenting Children for Life of Faith Omnibus, and the blue one, just look for the blue one. It's the one that talks about how to help your kids connect with God and how to help your kids find purpose and how to help your kids find confidence. In this book, chapter 33 is when we talk about failure, but it's now on audiobook. So you can listen to 10 hours and 45 minutes of me in your ears reading that book. Yes, I read the whole thing, and it's there for you if you want it. That is one that you're going to have to pay for, but it's on Audible and all of those things. If you want to find it, great. And the other thing that is free is if in all of these things you've heard us talk about key tools and things, and you think, I'd really like to do the Parenting for Faith course, but my church doesn't do it, and I don't have the brain space to actually organize one myself, we are doing a watch party for you. So it's just a way to, I think Anna will put a link underneath. It's just a way to participate in a national and international Parenting for Faith course where everyone's sitting around in their pajamas watching it. We all watch it at the same time. There's questions and answers that you can sort of participate in online. So if you want to do a course and someone near you isn't running it and you don't want to do it yourself, join the watch party because it's on and it starts January 30th, I think. Did I read that right? January 30th, Thursdays at 8 o'clock p.m. every time. So that's all that. Now let's get down to the actual failure stuff. So I got intrigued about this when I was writing the confidence book because failure seems like the ultimate test of confidence. And for us, I was writing this whole book on confidence, and I thought I really need to address failure about it because I think that's sort of rubber hits the road. How is our kids' godly confidence when it comes to failure? And I just really felt that it's really important to talk about for every age because it's not just a teenage thing. It's not just a 7-year-old thing. It's an opportunity that we have as parents of under fives to build in a foundation so that our kids can hit failure and not even blink when they hit it. And so how do we do that? As usual, as we go through, ask your questions, tell us your stories, share your wisdom in the comments. We'd love to get those going, and I'll make sure I have some space at the end to attempt my answer to some of your questions that you have. But you may find the answer you need through someone else's wisdom underneath. So I just wanted to take a step back because I think often we want to jump in with, I have a perfectionist 4-year-old who just collapses when he colors outside the lines. What do I do? And I think it's really important that we step back because there is this unique opportunity for under fives to teach them about reality, like form the way they view reality. And it takes a bit of more thinking. And I know we don't have that brain space, so I'm going to give you that brain space right now. Because for me, failure is 3 things that is really helpful. If we could get in our heart and brain that it's this, then I think we'll approach it differently. And so 1, failure is natural. And you see this all the time with your under fives because that is how they learn. Watch them try to learn how to walk. It's just constant falling on their face and picking up and doing again. Learning how to put their shoes on is an agonizing process of failure, of trying and failing and trying and failing and trying again. It is a natural way that humans have been designed to learn. And Jesus did it. When he was under 5, Jesus failed and succeeded and failed and succeeded. He did it. Everybody who's ever been human has done this failure journey and are generally okay with it. And at some point they learn to not be okay with it and to learn to be self-conscious about it or upset about it. And that's what we have the opportunity to shape now is reinforcing to them that failure is natural. The second thing failure is strategic. We see this a lot through scripture is, when the Israelites were crossing the sea, when they were brought into the desert, when Jesus sent them out, Jesus sent out his disciples onto a boat, he set themselves up, he set them up to have a moment of success or failure. And no matter what happens, he helps them walk the next step through it. And they learn something massively significant in their failures. When we fail, we learn. When we succeed, often we learn in a different way, a bit less. But when you fail, you get to work things out and try things. And God uses that for discipleship so much in Scripture. And I think that's what we can use for our kids. And the third thing is failure is necessary. You can't learn stuff without failure, and therefore it's inevitable. And I think I don't know particularly, but as a parent of under 5, we just are trying to get through the day. And so often what we'll do is we'll try to skip to the not failure is possible. We just want it all to go smoothly. And so sometimes we'll step in to take over, to do stuff, to avoid the stuff that could possibly be failure. And we sort of circumvent that because it'll be easier for us, but it's actually necessary for our kids to learn the stuff that we actually want them to learn. You watch them learn an instrument or a sport, it's this all the time. And so when we have that heart, that value, then we can help our kids get a healthy view of failure. And so I thought I'll give us 3 things that we can do to help our kids form a healthy view of failure and engage with that. The first thing that we can do is to value effort, learning, and progress over perfection. I know, I wish I had this little thing that scrolled it for you visually, but I don't because it's Strengths with Rachel. So value effort, progress, and learning over perfection. One of the things that we often do as parents, because we love our kids and we like them and we value their stuff, is often we praise success and achievement quickly. And so, oh, what a beautiful painting, or well done, you did your shoes. And we praise the achievement that they've done, sometimes over the learning, the progress, the effort that they put into it. So our kids begin to learn that if you really want to get praised, what our parents are really after is perfection, and everything else is like the consolation prize. And actually, if we begin to switch this into praising and valuing effort and learning and progress over perfection, then our kids begin to learn that they have 1,000 successes in a day because they're being successful at trying hard and at persevering and at learning something from that mistake and at being better at it today than they were yesterday, or at taking 4 steps back but not giving up. And there's so many things to praise in there, but often we just praise the success. I'm not saying don't praise the success. I'm saying the biggest cheer can be when they get up from a mistake rather than when they've done it perfectly. And so whether they're building a tower, when you have like a 1.5-year-old and you're doing that for like 1,000 minutes a day and you're building a tower, what are we praising? And it's just beginning to listen to yourself. Are we going, oh, how tall? That can be great. But are we praising, oh, I think that's bigger than last time. Or oh, that is much more stable. We're learning how to make a great, strong tower. Or, oh, you are working so hard. Look at how hard you're working. Well done. Or, oh no, it knocked down. What did we learn from that one? Oh, I really like how we did a wider base that time. That was a good experiment. What should we try this time? And so even when you're doing something as simple as building a tower, you're learning to value and note the effort, the progress, and the learning that's going on, as well as, well, that was a really tall one. I think a decision we made down at the bottom made a big difference, don't you think? What should we try this time? When your kid puts their shirt on backwards, they put their shirt on. Yes. And there's loads of success of the progress that they made from yesterday. And so I think because we see where we want them to end up, then we can so easily only praise the end up. And to praise the progress, the perseverance, the well done for picking out the outfit before I asked. I think sometimes thinking through what is the progress that can be seen, and therefore what can I praise within that, is really helpful. There was a under 5s kid that I remember going to hang out, and the kid had a terrible sports game. He was like 4 and really bad. Like, kid did everything wrong, kicked the ball in the wrong direction. It was just football gone wrong. And the kid ran off the team yelling at his mom, "Hey, mommy, I'm learning!" And she was like, "Woo!" And I thought that actually was so good. That kid could have come off absolutely humiliated after he kicked the ball in the wrong direction. But instead, he ran off being like, well, that was something new I absolutely put in my brain. And they succeeded. They weren't saying that what he did was fantastic. What they celebrated was that he learned a new and valuable lesson, that there's a direction to kick the ball in, and sometimes you get turned around. So praise learning, effort, and progress over perfection. The second thing is really helpful, is to give space to fail, because it's natural, it's strategic, and it's necessary. And so sometimes we go, if my day can go like this, then it'll be okay. And sort of pack your day. Some days you just can't, some days just survive. But the days that you're like, I have space to help my kid grow in failure, then create some space for them to fail and make it strategic and safe. Obviously, don't be like, sure, try half a hot dog and see if you choke. We'll see how that goes. Make it safe. But what happens is, if we circumvent them having an opportunity to struggle and fail, then we cut off their ability to grow in confidence and competence, in trusting themselves that they can find the solution. So sometimes what happens, if kids don't have enough time to prove to themselves that they can do it, or that they can fail and fix it, or that they can learn something, then what they teach themselves is, I've tried it once, it doesn't work, somebody else who's better than me has to come in and do it. And so giving them the space to say, wow, you persevered through that and you tried something really interesting. You know what? You might want to try again, because I trust you to figure it out. Lets them go, I can do it. Just because I'm failing doesn't mean it's wrong. It means that I can figure it out. That was one way, it isn't that. And so giving them space to do that. I remember one of the times that I really sort of went on a journey with it was my kid was trying to open a yogurt, the ones with the tops. And I had time that day. Some days you don't have time. I had time that day. And I turned around and he was squeezing it really hard. It was like, everything in you was like, no, that is not how to open a yogurt. And it just was this moment where God sort of pulled me up. And I thought, I have intervened so much in his life because he was doing it wrong. And every time I intervened, I was basically saying, no, that's not the way to do it. This is the way to do it. And he's seen me do it 1,000 times. And so I'm going to let him go on this learning journey of fun, because the worst case scenario is that it explodes in his face, at which point he will have learned a valuable lesson. And we will then go through the process of cleaning up and having a talk about how the physics of yogurt lids. And okay, so I watched him for like 4 minutes, like chew on it and pull on it and squeeze it and everything. And at some point, his brain remembered how to open it up. And he opened that lid up and he was like, I did it. And he told me how he tried and it didn't work. And that didn't work and that didn't work. And then I wanted to give up inside and then I tried again. And he had this wonderful journey of self-discovery and pride, which I was very easily just going to step in and completely steal from him by just opening the lid. And I know you can't do it all the time, but he talked about that for like a year because there was something about like, no, I can do it. Like the yogurt was like his thing. And there are moments where we can give our kids the chance to work and try until they get it or until they say, I need some additional advice, and you can help them. But helping them know that you trust them to be able to problem solve it is really helpful when they're 1, when they're 2, no matter what, to give them space to fail and to celebrate them coming up with great solutions or creative problem solving. Or I love how you tried that way because I never would have thought to try that way. It was worth a shot. That means you're really valuing them on the journey so that as they get older, they know it doesn't work out every time, but it will work one time and I can learn how to get there. And the last thing I thought, I mean, there's so much, guys. There are just pages and pages. There's like 10 different things to talk about in the chapter in the book. But I just wanted to highlight these 3, particularly for this age group, because the third thing that I think God gives us a real wonderful opportunity to do is to consider how we view failure and respond to it in our own lives. I think one of the greatest joys of having an under 5 is you can make lots of mistakes and figure it out and go, that is not how I wanted to explain that. Or, wow, that was a day that I don't think I did very well. And we get to do it again tomorrow. And there's something about, well, being a parent, we don't have to get it right. But when we're establishing reality for our under 5s, how we respond to failure and in our own lives teaches our kids how to view failure in theirs. And which means there's a great opportunity, because I mess up a lot in my everyday life. I mess up a lot. And so therefore, I have a lot of opportunities in my life to be like, well, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And I know that every time I fail in front of my kid is an opportunity to show my kid how to handle failure. And we all have that opportunity. And you may just want to ponder and think, how do you handle it with your small failures? Often we think about the big stuff, but it's the little stuff that our kids begin to create habits in. So when you drop things and spill them all over, do you get really angry or upset with yourself, or instantly sort of get all kerfuffled, which can communicate to our kids that, that is something that is just terrible and something to get upset about? Or do you get to say, whew, I probably need a stronger bag. Oh, I'm getting a bit upset because I'm sad that happened. But you know what? We can pick it up again, and you can just talk your way out. So it's not saying that's okay. You never have to get upset at a bad thing, but you can say, oh, that made me frustrated. But I'm not going to let myself get sad. I'm going to focus on what's next. What should we do now? And you can walk it out. So feel free to say your emotions, but also teach them what it means to take the next steps, or to, I'm going to try 2 bags next time, or, I'm going to need a bit of a break because I'm getting a bit hot and emotional. I'm going to sit down and breathe. You want to breathe with me? Whatever it is, teaching them how to deal with failure is a really powerful, powerful thing. And you get to go on that journey with them. And we'll never be perfect in that, which means you can have a great conversation the next day saying, when that happened and I got upset like that, I don't want to do it like that. So I'm going to try next time I get disappointed. I'm going to try this. You want to do it with me? And you are then showing them that you can reflect on that. Whatever you are doing, reflect on how you do it. And just think, every time you fail in front of your kids is an opportunity to teach them how to do it healthily and joyfully. And so as they try their things and you're learning to appreciate their effort and learning and progress and giving them space to fail and modeling and creating windows in your own life of what it is, that can be a really useful experience for your kids. Do you have any questions, scenarios that you're facing, worries that you have about this phase or the next phase? Any particular situations that you want me to speak into? We have about 9 minutes left. And so what I'll do is I'll do what we normally do, which is I'll pray over you while you type stuff in. And then I'll answer any questions you have until just at the point I have to leave. But if you really want to deep dive more into this, I would really suggest chapter 33 of the Parenting Children for Life of Faith Omnibus, which you can get on audiobook, or you can get the book itself. And I'm not sure if there's any articles on the webpage about it. Well, I'll ask Anna. Right. So let me pray. You type away, and then we'll see if there's any questions and answers. God, I thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to teach our kids how to fail. They're going to have a lifetime of failing. And we at this moment get to shape how their brain perceives and thinks of failure, how their heart is trained to respond to failure. This is such a precious and wonderful time we have to help our kids learn the foundation of how to be in this world. And I thank you for that. I thank you, God, that you walk with us in all of our mistakes and our failures and our joys and successes. And I thank you that you celebrate with us. I thank you that we're not finished yet and you're walking alongside of us. God, I pray for every parent that is listening now and in the future, that you would fill them with grace and peace as they look at their children who are making mistake after mistake after mistake, and that you would help them have little moments of clarity with you where you whisper into their lives and whisper into their parenting and help them help their kids cope with failure and have a healthy foundation of failure. And I pray for all of our children that you would fill them with your joy and adventurous heart, that they may walk forward with you, in you, knowing you, loving you, and that all of these successes and failures would all be opportunities to find you in the midst. In Jesus' name, amen. Yes, Caitlin is saying naming your emotions is so good for kids to learn. And I really agree with that. I think we did some topics about how naming your emotions is really helpful in chatting to God about your emotions, but naming emotions is really helpful. And you can do that really easily in a failure, because sometimes we just go to sad. And actually there's lots of beautiful words in there when we're coping with failure. A feeling like when you're doing something, you can feel satisfied. These are some of the words that I tend to teach to kids is I feel satisfied, I feel proud of myself, I feel like I was a hard worker, or perseverance, or I feel disappointed, I feel frustrated. I taught my 4-year-old betrayed, because like his pen didn't work. He felt betrayed by his pen. His pen was supposed to work. It didn't. He felt betrayed. Misunderstood is another one where I feel like I'm trying to explain it's not working. I feel misunderstood. There are so many different words that you can teach them, and that helps them walk through those experiences with him. Right, I have another question. How do we help them see the difference between sin and failure? Excellent question. For them to acknowledge when they sin and not always just pass it off as error, or to be too ashamed to confess failure or need. That is excellent. Shame can come into kids this young. The difference between sin and failure is really useful, and labeling can be really helpful for that. I tend to use mistake instead of sin because in my head, and this could be oversimplifying and you could hate this, but sin is doing something wrong that you know to be wrong. A mistake is often miscalculating it or doing it without having really thought it through type thing. Sometimes you go, I'm going to plan to do something on purpose and I know it's wrong, which I would calculate as sin. Now that also is a mistake, but a sort of accident thing. And so sin and mistake is sort of two different things. And so sometimes it's about labeling it when it happens. So like spilling your milk, you can go, oh, that's all right, a mistake. Mistakes are just learning. And so I sort of use mistakes are just learning as my sort of phrase that I use. But also having an interesting conversation like, did Jesus, who never sinned, who never did anything wrong that he knew to be wrong, did Jesus spill his milk? And you can start really interesting conversations about the concept of sin, where you know it's wrong and you do it anyways. And that just makes a wall between you and your parents, or you and your siblings, or you and God. And that's something that we need to confess and apologize for and have sweep away. And other things where it just didn't work, and that's okay, and it was an accident or it was a mistake, and you just be like, oh, that didn't work, well, I'll try something else. Sin technically to me also is about repenting and turning, and so I don't get too wrapped up in that, but sometimes it's helpful to know when they sin, which is doing something that you know to be wrong, and that's separating us from others and God. And a mistake that can be cleaned up, and it was an accident, and we can learn from that, and we can learn from our sin too. But I sort of try to differentiate it. I try not to go too deep into it. The next age group up is when I tend to do more of that. Kids sometimes will suffer shame as well, where they feel like it's sitting on them. And that's when we just go, we can say, I'm really sorry, and clean up your mess. And I talk a lot about cleaning up your mess with people, with God, where, sometimes we make choices and that impacts others. And sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it's sin and we chose that. But no matter what happens, we clean up our mess and we apologize. And then we go, thank you for forgiving me. And thank you that we have the opportunity to try again. And we focus on the try again. Another question, how do we talk about doing your best without veering into perfectionism? Great question. Doing your best is about... doing your best, I find a difficult phrase, because my best when I'm tired is different than my best when I'm feeling good. So sometimes what happens is kids are like, well, it's not the best that I could possibly do had I had the sun shining and the wind at my back and me having studied everything. And so doing my best as a kid is to put in the effort, to try hard. Did I choose today? I am going to try with the fullness I have right now. And so trying can be better than my best, because doing your best is a hard thing to quantify. It's a hard word, but I'm going to put in my full effort, or I'm going to bring all of my focus and all of my heart and all of my strength to this task. And so breaking it down can help, rather than it's got to be perfect. And the last question, my youngest keeps comparing his creations to his big brother's comparison and thinking what he's done is rubbish. He's reluctant to make marks now, so not many opportunities to praise what he's doing. That can be hard. Comparison can be a really difficult question. We have, I think, 2 chapters in the Parenting Children for Life-Based Omnibus on comparison, and I don't want to shorten it now. We're at the end of this thing, so what I'm going to do is, after tonight, what I'll do is I'll record a special answer to this question, because I think it's important to answer. I appreciate you asking it. Or I might do it on the podcast. I'll let you know. We'll get in contact after this one, and I'll make sure that we answer your question either here on the Facebook Live or in the podcast. We'll let you know where that's going to be, because it's an important question. I want to give you the full answer for that. And I appreciate you sending that in, because that's heartbreaking, and I think many of us can appreciate that. Right. So I am going to go. I'm sorry I need to go. There's all the 5 to 11's parents next. But I appreciate your questions. I appreciate you being here. You can do it. Have a good time and try stuff and let us know how it goes, because we can all learn from each other. Bless you. Bye.